All right, good morning and welcome to Iyun of Benzion. Today's daf is Yevamos Peches 88. We have some very important concepts to talk about today. I just want to give a general outline over here. There's three types of ways of deciding sfekos and halacha, um, with different consequences based on the strength of that proof. The highest level is what the Gemara alludes to over here on Daf Peches Amid Aleph, where the Gemara says we're talking about we're not a piece of meat. Is it shuman? Is it kosher meat? Or is it chaylev, which carries the penalty of kares if you eat the forbidden fats of an animal, say by the liver, gaseres hakaved, things that you can't eat, fatty liver, it doesn't taste so good. It's kares, it's bad to eat that. So we're not sure. So where it says, chaticha da vadai chaylev. What means vadai chaylev? Everybody knows, when it's common knowledge, everybody knows it's forbidden fats. If you look at it, it looks like fat. I mean, there's no way. It's facts, you know. Um, if it's a fact, meaning it's an established, we can prove it 100%, and we know this 100%. That's what the Gemara talks about. That's a yediyah. That's a knowledge. A yediyah, a knowledge, a common knowledge. It's not just your knowledge, what you think, but it's common knowledge to everybody, and no one disagrees with that. That is the strongest type of proof. And the Gemara says, even 100 people say, no. There was common knowledge that it was chaylev. I think it's 100 people say, no, it's kosher. 100 people is inconsequential in a world of 7.5 billion people. It doesn't mean anything. It's like nothing. I mean, common knowledge can't be overturned. If you have a rove, maybe you could overturn it, but common knowledge is common knowledge. Like Ben Shapiro says, common knowledge is common knowledge. If we all believe someone's a man, you can't say it's a woman. I mean, I'm not getting into this. This is a political conversation, whether gender identity, you could identify as a different gender if you want to. Ben Shapiro argues that common knowledge is biological. We treat men and women based on biology. You can't argue on common knowledge, just like you can't say you're an 18-year-old girl. He asked him, and he said, are you 60 years old? You can't say, no one would say you can just identify as a 60-year-old person, because common knowledge is, we count based on when you were born, and there's a set amount of time for a year. You're 18 years old, not 60 years old. So just like common knowledge applies there, it also applies to, sex. It goes based on biology, what you're born with. I'm not going to get into the politics over here, but that's just a mashal over here, way of explaining it more simply. Then there's another type of knowledge, which is edus, trey edim kameya. We're not sure about something, and two witnesses say, and we have no proof the other way, right? We have no reason to doubt these edim. There's nothing weakens the edim. Those edim are believed 100%, but they're not believed as a fact. This is a chiddush I'm saying. They're not a fact, because if they were a fact, then if a piece we know is chaylev, and 100 edim say no, it's shuman, so it would at least create a suffix. It wouldn't create. They're not believed at all. The Gemara says so. It's a birur, it's a clarification. A clarification is not 100%, but if we'll just use parlance from American Constitution, innocent until proven guilty, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And edim, while they're not a common knowledge that it's a fact, they are proving, they are clarifying the matter for us. And their clarification is accepted 100%. It's accepted 100%. But at the end of the day, they are being mavarer a suffix. They're not being mavarer a vadai. It is a suffix. We know it was a suffix. And they are clarifying what was once a suffix. They are proving something beyond a reasonable doubt. You have a doubt, crazy doubt about it. You think it's 99% sure. I doubt it for some stupid reason. That's not, it's worthless in halacha, because the edim said, and two edim, if not just one person says, if two edim create something, that is biblically considered a birur, that's considered a clarification in halacha, and we rely on it for almost everything. You beat out 1-8. Now we'll get to 1-8 a different time. I'm going to get to 1-8 is isha, where it's relevant over here. 8 echad does not have the same status as 2-8. 2-8 is like meya, is maybe like 1,000. Maybe, I don't know why it said trade him meya, trade him kulam. I don't know. I'll have to figure out why it says trade him meya, but it's considered a bureau clarification. 1-8 is less. 8 echad is neman for certain things. V'chayiv yeshvua here. 8 echad is neman to help you remarry. Maybe that's the rabbanan though. So true Adam proves something beyond a reasonable doubt. And then we have something else called chazaka. Chazaka, there's two types of chazaka, really, main two types of chazaka. We've dealt with one chazaka already, with androgynous. Right? Most Tanaim hold that androgynous is treated like a male, and you could even chayiv him skila if he engages in homosexuality with another man, according to some opinions, through the anus, according to other opinions, even through the vagina that he has, if it's a hermaphrodite. We treat him, we see there's one opinion, the main opinion, Eliezer holds, that it's not a birur, it's not a clarification, it's a chazaka, it's an assumption, right? Because we saw from Anna Yevamos that it says zachar and nekeva. We don't treat an androgynous like a zachar in certain circumstances. By a person, we do. Because a chazaka, we can assume that if a person has both male and female, he's considered a male because Adam Arishon was the first person. He was a male, so we assume something. It has a lot of weight in halacha, to the point the Gemara says in Kiddushin that you're sort of truma ala chazaka, and you also punish someone. You give malchus, and mises based in, like the Mishnah says, you give mises based in on an assumption. It's an assumption. You can give. Now, a chazaka, an assumption, I don't think has the status of shteid. We'll have to get into whether it's exactly the same as shteid, but it's pretty close to shteid. It's like shteid. An assumption carries a lot of weight to the point you can punish someone with that. Is it beyond a reasonable doubt, or it creates a reasonable doubt? That can be good enough. We'll have to discuss that more. But there is another type of chazaka, which is status quo, which the Gemara discusses here on Pei Chesam and Beis 88b over here. That's the case where we have trei v'trei, where we have a woman who has a cheskas eishes ish. She has status quo. She was a married woman. Two Eidim say her husband died. Two Eidim say we know her husband didn't die. Two Eidim say she had a gerish and a get. Two Eidim say no, it wasn't a get. It wasn't a puzzle get. That's trei v'trei. So she has din chazaka, status quo. Status quo is not worth so much in halacha, but we have to follow it. Go the status quo. So so until you overturn the status quo, she's not allowed to get remarried. But there's an interesting machloka. Let's say she gets remarried, right? So everyone agrees if two Eidim came and said her husband died, and then she gets married, which she's allowed to do based on two Eidim. We believe two Eidim, and she got remarried beheter. So everyone agrees. Even Menachem Bar Yossi, it's machlokas Yatanoim, he agrees she can stay married because the status quo has changed now. Now she got allowed to get married. She got married to the new man, so she got married beheter. So the status quo has changed from her being married to the first guy. She's now considered married to the second guy. So you have to overturn that. But Rav Nachman Bar Yossi says that if she got married be'isser, meaning it was trei v'trei, and then she got married anyway, so status quo doesn't change because she violated what she's supposed to do. You can't say she has status quo of married the second man. She did it be'isser. They're hold, even if she did it be'isser, it changes the status quo. Status quo can be changed, and that's very important. The status quo over here because status quo is what guides us over here. The status quo is not something which we can rely on to give punishments and things like that. The status quo merely creates a case of asham taloi, the Gemara says, where if you bowl someone where there's a suffix, whether you're married to another guy or not, it's a suffix adultery. You have to bring a korban asham taloi. It's a new portion of the Torah. You have to bring a new korban over there. And that's just an assumption. As far as hanhaga, there's birur and there's hanhaga. Hanhaga is just the minhag, how we act. We don't know how to act in suffix. We can't clarify it, but we can. The Torah always tells us how to act. The Torah says this is the way to act. It remains a suffix. This is the way to act. And therefore, a person says barili. He says a suffix and suffix. He says barili. I know it's not my husband. And the other than him say that it was her husband who came back. So you don't have to bring an asham tali. You don't bring a korban anymore because it's telling you how to act. But you don't have to act against your knowledge. If you have knowledge, even if it's personal knowledge, not common knowledge, you don't have to act against it. It's only Torah suffix. It's not a clarification. We'll get more into these. Those are the three major categories in halacha. There's common knowledge, which is a fact. Then there's birur, which is a clarification. Then there's hanhaga, which is a minhag. We act in a certain way, but it remains a suffix. Birur, we'll have to get more into whether that proves of something beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, birur does prove something beyond a doubt, but the chazaka, the type of assumption, is that a reasonable doubt or beyond a reasonable doubt? We'll get into that more in the coming days. See you tomorrow. Bye.